Alright, let's take a look at all the new Azure Lane Wave 3 commanders. First one is Azure Lane Littorio. It is an Italian commander, which is another option now for the Italian battleships, which is important with the new Italian battleship line in early access and coming out next month for you to be able to work your way through. So the base trait is Rosa Barbamento, reduces the repair time of incapacitated modules as well as duration of fire and flooding on your battleship. So okay, this does look like she has the accuracy skills of a conventional accuracy build battleship commander for the most part. Flammable cannoneer, gyrating drill bits, marksmanship, and properly meticulous is normally on the 4th skill, but here you have reaching out XXL, which is normally on the 4th skill for the accuracy build battleship commanders. And you also have emergency specialist. Sardigen Discipline is kind of a new skill, I think. It reduces the flood damage for your battleship and splash damage for any ship type. So okay, there you go on that. And the legendary skills, Will to Rebuild, Farsight, and Fight Fire with Fire. Alright, so the next commander is Azure Lane Azuma. This is a Japanese cruiser commander. Base trait is Mizuyu's Intuition, increases the cruiser's maximum speed and incoming shell dispersion. So okay, so as far as the skills, you have Burn It Down XXL, Beyond Range, No Fly Zone, Before It's Too Late, and Igniter. So these two I think are the normal accuracy build skills for the accuracy build cruiser commanders. Fixated and Punch Through, but this is kind of new. Special Gunnery Training, which increases the cruiser main battery AP shell damage and AP shell penetration multiplier. So that is kind of interesting right there. The one downside though is it does decrease the cruiser main battery shell grouping. And then down here you have Refill Station and Fully Packed. So those are good options for cruisers. And this 4th skill down here actually is kind of interesting. So alright. The next one is Azure Lane Yukikaze. This is a destroyer commander for the Japanese. Base trait is Lucky Shot, increases the destroyer average AA damage per second. So that's, I don't know, I don't think it's that thrilling, but that is what this is. Contact is Eminent is pretty standard for destroyer commanders. You also have Observant Rage, which reduces the main battery reload time of your destroyer and improves the torpedo detection, but it is at the cost of slower rudder shift speed. So I would generally pick Contact as Eminent. Second skill is Look at Me Now, which is pretty standard, which increases the ship concealment rating. Down here on the 3rd skill you have Perceptive, Reaching Out, Twist and Track, and Back in Stock. So you got some good options here on the 3rd skill. 4th skill is Smoke on the Water and Cloudy Days, which is pretty standard. And this looks like a new skill right here, Evasive Hunter, which increases the incoming shell dispersion as well as concealment rating while shooting from inside a smoke screen. This can be pretty important because a lot of times the red team ships will try to rush the smoke screens to close into a detection range. So this should help that a little bit, and this is kind of interesting. Legendary skills is Evil Sparks, increases the penetration of your destroyer's HE shells, but it is at the cost of a lower damage of your destroyer's HE. So alright, and then Leviathan and Unstoppable, which is standard for a lot of destroyer commanders. Next one is Azure Lane Aurora. This looks to be a Russian cruiser commander. Base trait is Flexible Threat, reduces the shell type switching time. Okay, so if you're going between HE and AP, this should help out there. Burn It Down XXL is the 1st skill. Increases the chance of HE shells causing fire. You also have Beyond Range, so you've got some good choices there. The second skill is Igniter, which will increase the chance of causing fire with your cruiser's main or secondary battery HE shells. So, alright, and then before it's too late, intuitive. This is kind of a useful skill that a lot of cruiser commanders do use, I think. Hammering Strikes. This is the unique skill for this commander, I believe, and it increases the cruiser AP and HE shell damage, and it does decrease the cruiser main battery shell grouping though, so you know, you don't get something without nothing here. So you're going to get a benefit for the increased damage of your shells, but it will kind of mess up your shell grouping a little bit. You also have Punch Through that you can select, which is kind of the standard selection that I have normally selected on these types of commanders, but with Hammering Strikes you do want to consider this, I think. And down here, Steer Clear is more of an agile build skill, while Fixated is more of an accuracy skill. So you've got your choices down here as well. And then for the legendary skills, you have Fully Packed, Refill Station, and Equilibrium of Power, which will increase the penetration of your cruiser's HE shells at the cost of lower damage and halved chance of your cruiser's HE shells causing fire. So you do want to consider that if you're selecting this legendary skill. Next up is Azure Lane Montpellier, which is an American cruiser commander. Base trait is Anti-Air Mode, increases your cruiser's AA gun range. And then here you have Burn It Down XXL, Beyond Range, which is all pretty standard as we have seen. No Fly Zone. Second skill is Igniter, or Before It's Too Late. I think most people would probably select Igniter. Third skill is Punch Through, which is pretty standard, or Velocious. This is for your agile build commander, as well as Steer Clear in the fourth skill. But here, All Out Assault is kind of unique for this commander, I think, and it will increase the cruiser main battery shell grouping and incoming fire dispersion, and it does increase the incoming damage to your cruiser. So you're going to give that up, but you're going to get a little bit of accuracy, and it's going to help you out on your incoming fire dispersion. Then you have Fixated and Steer Clear down here, which is all pretty standard, and you have Equilibrium of Power again, along with Refill Station and Fully Packed. Alright, and then you have Azure Lane Shokaku as the last commander here, and this is the aircraft carrier commander for the Japanese, the Shokaku. Swift as the Wind is the base trait and increases your carrier's speed. So, alright, movement is pretty much automated on the carriers anyway, so got to keep that in mind. As for the skills, you have Good Day's Work, which reduces the damage control party reload time. That can be kind of useful when it's all automatic anyway. And Swatting with Flies, No Fly Zone. Dark Silhouette improves your aircraft carrier's concealment. That kind of looks like it may be a unique skill. I'm not sure. That sounds kind of familiar though. One-Way Ticket increases the torpedo damage. And then On Alert enables a warning indicator of incoming long-range enemy fire, while also improves ship steering. And again, your ship is probably going to be on autopilot, so you want to keep that in mind as well. Crane's Protection. The Shokaku was called the Soaring Crane, and this skill reduces your bomber's detectability. Alright. Out of Sight is another skill here down on the third skill. Improves the concealment and maximum HP of your dive bombers. And then same thing for the torpedo bombers. And for the fourth skill, you have Look at Me Now, which will increase the ship concealment rating, and Emergency Power, which will increase the speed of your airplanes. So legendary skill is Fully Packed, and We Are Legion, which increases your torpedo bomber speed, reduces the damage to your aircraft carrier for as long as you're in the proximity of an enemy, and that is probably more useful than the American version of that. So alright. Well, that's it for my quick review of the Azure Lane Wave 3 commanders. Let me know in the comments which of these commanders you think are worth picking up and why. This is the Jaguar, and I'll see you on the high seas. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe if you like it.